Take a credit card. Hand it to a person from 1850. Tell them that this rectangle of plastic lets you walk into any building on Earth, take a goat, and not pay for the goat until next month, with money you do not currently have, because of a binding promise made by a building in Delaware. They would burn you as a witch. They would burn the goat as a witch. We call this Tuesday, and we get annoyed when the chip reader is slow. And the way this works is super simple. No, it isn't. Actually, yeah, no, that was a lie. I'm sorry. There are 7 parties involved in a single credit card swipe, 4 of which you have never heard of, and 3 of which you have heard of but don't understand, and somehow this entire system finishes its job in less time than it takes you to be mildly annoyed at the cashier. Strap in. I had to look this up 4 times, and I'm an engineer. When you swipe your card, you are not paying the store. I know it looks like you're paying the store. You tap a thing, the thing beeps, the store hands you a goat, yada yada. This is a transaction, surely, right? Well, it's not. It just happened that you sent a request through approximately 4 different companies asking permission for your bank to promise a different bank that they'll pay them later. Now say with me. And then everybody settles up overnight while you are asleep, probably dreaming about not having credit card debt. Let me draw this out for you. You walk into Target. You grab a goat. Target sells goats now, okay? The economy is bad, just go with it. You take your card, you tap it on the little card reader. The little card reader has a name, and the name is Point of Sale Terminal, or POS for short, which is also what your brother calls his Honda Civic. Anyways, the POS does the first job. It reads your card number, the expiration date, the security code, the dollar amount of the goat, and it bundles us up into a polite little request. Now you would think, reasonably, normally, like a sane person, that the PS calls your bank, right? Well, it doesn't, because that would be efficient. We do not do efficient here, okay? The POS calls a different bank called the acquiring bank, which is the bank that Target uses for card processing. Target does not have a hotline to Chase. Target has a hotline to Target's bank, who then has to figure out how to find Chase. This is the financial equivalent of you wanting to text your friend, but instead of texting your friend, you call your mom calls their mom tells them you said hi. Your friend lives next door. This is the entire credit card system, okay? Anyways, so Target's bank, and I refuse to keep calling him the acquiring bank because that sounds like a Federal Reserve podcast. That is not what this is, okay? Let's call him Greg, okay? Greg is Target's bank. Greg is sweaty. Greg has 14 browser tabs open. Greg now has your credit card info and the dollar amount, and Greg needs to find your bank. But Greg has never met your bank. Greg does not have your bank's number. Greg does not know what state your bank is in. So how on earth does Greg find your bank in 800 milliseconds? Enter the second mystery character. Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Discover. You think these are credit card companies, right? Well, they're not. None of these companies are banks. None of these companies issue credit. None of these companies lend you a single dollar. These companies are roads. Visa is a road. MasterCard is a road. They are the infrastructure that connects every bank in the world to every other bank in the world so that Greg can find Stacy. Yeah, we're calling your bank Stacy now, so yeah, I should have mentioned that earlier, okay? Greg is Target's bank, Stacy's your bank. Got it? Okay. When you get your credit card and it has the Visa logo on it, your card wasn't issued by Visa. Your card was issued by Chase or Capital One or whichever bank you signed up with the stadium in college in exchange for a free t-shirt that disintegrated into washes, yada yada, okay? Visa just slapped their logo on the card because Chase is paying Visa for access to Visa's road, okay? Visa charges a fee on every single transaction anywhere on earth that uses a Visa card. They make billions of dollars and they do not technically do anything. They are a toll booth on the financial highway. It is the most psychotic business model ever conceived and you have never thought about it once, okay? Okay, so back to Greg, aka Target's bank. So Greg sends your card info onto Visa's road. The road has Stacy's address baked into your card number, which is its own entire engineering problem that we'll get into a different video because if I explain it now, my editor is going to break my legs, okay? Stacy, your bank receives a request. Stacy now has approximately 800 milliseconds to decide your fate. Stacy is a lot. Stacy runs a tight ship. Stacy has a color-coded spreadsheet and absolutely will not be moved on the deadline. In 800 milliseconds, which is less time than it takes you to blink twice and judge someone's outfit, Stacy checks, is this card real? Is it expired? Is it stolen? Is there enough credit? Does this purchase look weird compared to your normal pattern? Are you actually a Target right now, or did this card just get used in Bucharest 12 seconds ago? Stacy runs fraud detection algorithms designed by a very anxious man in 2006. There's a function function in there called legacy check v3 final use this one.py, something like that. I'm sure of it. Py is Python, by the way. If everything checks out, Stacy does not send money, okay? This is the part that nobody tells you. Stacy does not send a single dollar. Stacy sends a message back through Visa's road that says, and I quote, "I, Stacy, hereby pinky promise that this transaction is good. We'll square up later. XOXO, Stacy." That's it. This is the entire moment. It's a promise. There is no money. Nobody has paid anything. The money has not moved 1 inch, okay? The promise travels back through Visa's road to Greg. Greg sees the approval and immediately calms down. Greg's blood pressure returns to normal. Greg tells the POS terminal, "Yo, we're good." The POS beeps. The cashier hands you the goat. You leave Target thinking the transaction is complete. It is not complete. It has barely started. The actual money is currently nowhere. So when does it move? Overnight. Genuinely while you're asleep. Every store on planet Earth that took card payments that day, every Target, every Walmart, every guy selling weird sourdough out of his garage, sends a giant batch of receipts to their acquiring bank, to Greg, okay? Greg looks at all these batches and goes, okay, I need $47 from Stacy, $23 from a different bank, $112 from Carl over at Bank of America, and yada yada. And Greg sends those requests up through Visa's road. Visa's road takes all of these requests from every Greg on Earth and shuffles them around like the world's most boring DJ at the world's saddest wedding, okay? Visa figures out who owes who what in total across millions of transactions. Then, Visa tells every bank, "Here is what you owe, here is what you're owed, now settle up." And then money moves. Not through Visa, though. Visa does not hold money. Visa is bookkeeping, okay? The actual money moves through the Federal Reserve using a separate system called Fedwire, because of course there's a separate system. This is America, and your financial infrastructure was designed by a committee in 19 different decades, okay? Your bank's money goes from your bank's Federal Reserve account to Target's bank Federal Reserve account. This happens around 4 a.m. You're asleep, the goat is in your car. The money is finally moving, okay? So now we know what happens. But this brings up a question. Why is it like this? Why are there 7 parties involved? Why doesn't your bank just directly talk to Target's bank like 2 normal adults? Why is the world's most important financial system held together by middlemen and overnight batch jobs? 2 reasons. First, Target's bank and your bank have never met. They have no relationship, no trust, no shared lawyer. Target's bank is in Minneapolis. Your bank is in Delaware, for tax reasons that I won't go into because then we'll be here for 9 hours, okay? They need a neutral road. Visa, that both of them trust, that handles messages, that enforces the rules, and then takes a cut for the inconvenience of existing, okay? Visa is a divorce mediator for banks that have never met. They charge for it. They charge a lot for it. They're a real estate empire that owns one road and rents it to everybody. Second, speed and load. Your bank cannot run its own fraud algorithms and verify with merchants and save money and hand the 80 million other transactions happening at this exact second without melting onto the floor. So the system is deliberately spread across multiple companies, each doing one tiny piece, because that's the only way to make the whole thing finish in under 3 seconds without setting the global economy on fire. The credit card system isn't complicated by accident. It's complicated on purpose, the same way every engineering system is. Distributed load, redundancy, fault tolerance, fail-safe routing. It's the same logic that runs the power grid. It just moves money instead of electrons, and both will absolutely take you down if they break. So the next time you tap your card at Target, just remember, Greg called Stacy. Stacy made a pinky promise on a road owned by Visa. The Fed moved the actual money at 4 a.m. while you were asleep. 7 parties, 3 networks, 1 Federal Reserve, and approximately 6,000 engineers all worked in concert so that you could buy a goat without thinking about it. And meanwhile, your friend from 1850 is still tied to a stake because none of this should work. But it does. Every Tuesday. With a goat. That information is going to cost you 1 subscribe. Currents gotta flow somewhere. And the screen should ask you a couple of questions. Tips in the forms of likes are appreciated, and I will see you on the next one.